Hi lovelies, Mandy here from Whirl and Weave. In today's workshop we're going to show you how to needle felt little Daphne mouse. For this workshop you will need some core wool, a nice crimpy coarse wool. You will need some white wool, still crimpy but a little bit softer. This is corridor wool. I would try and use something crimpy and not a merino wool, as that's finer and more silky and you will find it's more difficult to needle felt. You will need some pink wool, and finally for the facial details you will need a tiny bit of dark brown. Black, if that's all that you have, will do, but I find that brown is much softer for the eyes, for example. You will need a piece of paper or card, and with this we're going to make your own template for your ears. You will need an old piece of cardboard, roughly that kind of shape. That's about 2 inches by 4 inches. This one's a bit bigger actually. You will need some felting needles, and I like to mark my foam here, small, medium and large, just so that I don't get messed up and it's easy to quickly pick out which one you want. And so a normal triangular felting needle is all you need. If you have holders for them, that's fine. I prefer not to work with holders. So large, medium, small. You will need a wooden skewer, barbecue skewer. I've cut this short and I've used an emery board, or you can use sandpaper, to file whilst you're turning it, to get rid of all the little tiny catchy splinters. You need a pen or a pencil to draw out your template, and a pair of scissors to cut them out. You can see here I've got a collection of little Daphnes and her friends. This is the one we're going to be making today. She's really cute, very simple to make, white and pink, brown eyes, and she looks really cute. You can also make her in different colours, so if you prefer like a fawny or a grey colour mouse, you can do that too. This one, you can see that I've positioned her tail in between her arms, so she looks like she's hugging her tail, which is really cute. This one, you can see I've made a little miniature pair of knitting needles. Got a little ball there, that's quite cute. So if you're good at knitting or crochet, you can do something like that. And here on this one you can see I've made a little miniature hook. She's got a little crochet granny square there, and also I've crocheted a little shawl on her as well. So they're really cute and really fun, and you can dress them up to look exactly how you want. Alright, without further ado, let's get started. Generally, as a rule, when you needle felt or wet felt, the size of your item shrinks by about 1/3. And here you can see the template that I cut out for the ears ended up actually shrinking down quite a lot. So we need to bear that in mind for like the final size of ears that you want. So If you want smaller ears on your mouse, you need to make a smaller template. Generally, it's the size of the ears that I've gone for are a little bit wider than my thumb. So what to do with your piece of card, or if you've got paper, fold it in half just to make it a little bit thicker. The fold at the bottom. I'm going to trace lightly how I would like my ears to be. So if you think your thumb is there, I want to make it more or less the size of from my thumb, from the knuckle upwards. I'm going to estimate that. I'm going to draw my ears. You can see that's a little bit wider than what I've than the outline of my thumb there. As an estimate, let's see. That's pretty much exactly the size that I've got there. So bearing in mind that is going to shrink in a little bit. Keep the bottom wider there, because we actually fold that in to make it more narrow when we stick it on the mouse. Okay, so you've got your outline. Cut that out. Doesn't have to be perfect. There. You've got your ear template. Okay, so we can put that to one side. Won't need that for a while. Let's start making the body of your mouse. You will need, so if you look at your fibres, they run in a certain direction, and if you gently, so grip both sides and gently force them apart vertically, so that you have a nice strip, roughly about an inch wide here. And when you go to stretch fibres out, if you hold them really close and pull it, you won't be able to pull it. But if you take your hands apart slightly and then pull, you will see that they do actually pull apart. And this is called drafting. Okay, so we want to do that till it's about an inch wide. So this is using your core wool. If you don't have core wool and you just have a lot of white wool, then start using that. Now, this is when your skewer comes in handy. So you don't have to use the pointed end. You can use this end if you want to. In fact, let's do that. I'm just going to put this cardboard behind me so you can see a bit better there. Okay, so if you place your skewer just near the tip of the fibres and start rolling towards you. You can do this if you're left or right handed, hold it in whichever hand is comfortable for you. Start rolling and you'll see that it starts to catch on the fibres. Now holding it quite tightly, but not so that it's going to break, don't pull it too hard. Keep slowly rolling your skewer down towards you. You'll see it starts to get fatter and fatter. Keep going. Again until it's about an inch in width. Not this way, I mean this way. Okay, this has got a bit bunched up there. So your fibres will do that, they tend to move around a lot. So keeping the pressure quite tightly here, keep rolling down until it almost looks like a little fat sausage. Okay, so turn that round until you come to where the ends of your fibres were. Hold that in place. Place that down on your mat. Your felting mat should either be foam, or some people use a brush that's upside down. And pick your largest needle. And what we're going to do is, in a 90-degree angle to the actual felt, we're going to start pushing gently into the fibres. Now, bearing in mind you've got that wooden skewer going through the middle, so we don't want to go stabbing at it like crazy in case we actually bounce off of that wood, and that might be when you can break your needle. Also, bear in mind always the direction that you put your needle in, also bring it out at that same angle. If you were to go into your fibre, turn your needle like that and then try and pull it out, that's putting a lot of pressure on the fine part of the needle inside your felting piece, and that is the main mistake of why some people, like you find that you would break your needles. And once you break your needle inside, you'll never get it out. You can't find it. They're made of steel. You can't use a magnet to get it out, so just be very careful of that. Alright, so what we want to do is still holding on to your fibres. Imagine that's the middle line of where your skewer is going through, and just slightly above it or below it, go from right to left and gently push your needle through. You'll feel it catching onto fibres. Okay, so above my skewer and now below my skewer. Be really careful of your fingers, keep them well away. You can wear finger guards for this, but a lot of people prefer not to because you can't feel what you're doing properly. Alright, I can stab that in there to keep it in place while I don't need it. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn our piece down a bit, roll it, and again with your needle 90 degrees, needle felt down, above and then below. I'm going to turn it. The fibres are still really loose at this point, so tuck them down. Above my skewer middle line and then below. I'm turning it again. You can see when you move it and you turn it around, you can see the fibres look really smooth. You can't see any needle holes, so you know you haven't done that bit yet. Nice and slowly and gently. Turn it around again. And I'm starting to see some previous little marks as well now, so you should find that you can let go. And it's kind of holding together nicely. Now if you compare this to our Daphne, this is going to be the body. You can see that it's not that dissimilar in size. It's a bit smaller, but remember we're still going to wrap this with the white wool, so I'm happy with that width. That's about 1 inch wide, 1 inch across. It is much longer at the moment, but we're going to start shaping the ends. So what I'm going to do, I'm right-handed, so I hold this in my left. We're going to hold the skewer so it's still, you've got somewhere to keep it secure in the air. Fingers well away from the tip. So we're going to work on this end now. And what we're going to do is very slowly, let's see if I move that so you can see better. Very slowly I'm working on the centre of the end here. And I'm just starting to circle round. That's kind of gone flat if you look at that. So now what we're going to do, this little section here that I call a corner, instead of our needle going in at 90 degrees, I'm going to turn my needle so it's at a diagonal, and I'm going to start just gently pushing into that corner there. Then I'm going to turn my skewer a little bit, a few stabs in there, gentle. I mean, I can feel it's touching the skewer inside, but that's okay as long as we're gentle. Keep turning it. And what happens is that it softens that edge, that corner. Still working at a diagonal, so going in at the angle, coming out at the same angle. And turning my skewer. I can hold it here as well if I want to. Turning it round until you find, just gently, I can feel the wood inside sometimes when I'm poking through there. And then you can go back to the tip if you want to, if there's any loose bits that need tucking in. There. You can see that's starting to get nice and rounded now. And what we do, this is going to be the base. So, going to be the base there. So we don't want it too rounded, we do want a nice flat base to attach the feet to and the tail to. And now that you can feel actually it starts becoming a bit firmer, we don't want it hard as a rock, but we do want it quite firm. So that area is done now. We've done the rounded bottom part. And now we can lay this down on your foam, or I'm keeping it on the cardboard so you can see what I'm doing on camera. And work your way up and down. Don't worry about this top section too much because we want to keep that nice and loose for the moment. Sorry about that, you can hear me touching the cardboard there. Keep turning. Trying to avoid the middle part. So now you can see, hopefully, that that's actually becoming more of a unified shape there. And you can see if I squeeze it, there is still movement in there, but it's starting to get nice and firm. Okay, so with it still on the skewer, don't need that coral anymore. Take your nice piece of white wool. It doesn't always come in like long lengths. Here I've got 3 separate pieces, so anyway. So spread that, and this is quite thin. And I'm spreading it out so it's just over about 1 inch wide. It's about 4 inches long, this piece. Just going to turn my skewer around. And like we did at the beginning, I'm going to just go to the end of those fibres there. And I'm going to just turn that a tiny bit, and there I'm holding those top bits with my thumb. Lay that down, just for something to grip onto. Just give that a couple of points there to hold on to. So now I'm going to carry on wrapping that round until you get to the very end. Just going to turn that round. There. Okay, so I'm holding on to the end of the fibres there. Same as before. Just start gently stabbing in This time you'll feel the resistance. It feels different to the very first sausage that we made. Okay, above and below, turn it, turn it again, keep turning, feels lovely and fluffy now because it's a different yarn there. Can you see those end bits sticking up? So we're going to just hold them down, wrap them round again, and each time you poke the needle through, the barbs on the needle, they're really difficult to see as tiny barbs, and it catches a fibre and pushes it down into the piece. So slowly it becomes more and more felted as more fibres are taken inside, and actually gives it some depth and makes it feel solid. Okay, so now I'm going to take it off this, here we go, won't be needing that for a while. Now you should have your lovely loose side here that has, you can see inside it's got some core fluff, and then on the outside you've got a little bit of the white, and it's difficult to see on camera but they're practically almost the same colour anyway. So that's going to be the top of the head, and this is the base. So let's work on the base a little bit more, because we've since added the white fibres onto there, so there's lots of little fluffy ends there, so that we want to just get them all in, so it's one solid piece again. So I've done the base a little, now we're going to do that outside rounded edge. And the very nature of needle felting is the direction that you needle felt into the object, the object starts to shrink in that direction. So you might think, oh no, it's shrinking, but that's perfectly fine, that's what we want. Not too solidly though, because we still want to attach our other pieces to it. Okay, so I think that's still spongy, that's quite nice there. I'm just going to go back up and down the main part of the body. Keep your fingers well out of the way of the needles. Turn it up and down, go back down. You can take your time, pause this video if you need to. It's not about rushing, it's about enjoying the creation that you're making. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it. So the fluffy bits that haven't been felted yet, they're on the top. We want to make sure that you've got white covering there. We can always add some more white on the top again if we need to. But we're making the head now, so if we have a look at the shape, you can see that's still quite a lot longer. But we're going to start creating the shape. And it's not as flat, it's more domed, not pointy, but it's against there, that's better, you can see that better. It's more domed. Alright, so we want to do the top of it and working our way down around those corners, as I said before, to make a nice shape. And this is going to shrink in quite significantly. Right, I like to hold it flat there. Be careful of your fingers, it really hurts. I won't say if, I'll say when you stab yourself. Okay, now can you see that little circle has gone in there? Now I'm going to start working outwards a little bit more. So it's looking quite flat at the moment. But let's turn it on its side and do what we did before. We're actually going to push some of those white fluffy fibres over, because that's going to be the top of the head. And then turn your little sausage a bit. Keep turning it up and down to cover that corner to make it a nice rounded dome for the top of the head. We're still using a large needle. Going in at a diagonal angle. Turned round. So I'm starting to see previous needle marks now, so I know it's been done. Just going to put it on its base like that. Quite a nice shape. Nice rounded little sausage, fat sausage or potato croquette. Just turning that round and round. Now I've still got a bit of coral showing there. It looks quite creamy on the top there. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take a piece, don't need too much. I'm going to just tear that in half a little bit there, and again crossing it over, so I've got a little kind of mesh of fibres going in different directions. I'm going to plonk it on the top, holding it gently, not tightly. And just lightly, I'll turn that around, lightly tacking that down. You can see all the fibres get sucked into it. That's the good thing about needle felting, you can always just keep adding bits rather than having this great big gigantic sausage and you think, oh no, I've put too much in there, because you can't shrink it down as small as you want to because it will become too compact. So just a little bit at a time, until you start getting a feel for it, and then with time you learn and you know, and you get a feel for how solid it is, etc. Now that, can you see that's got quite a nice little domed top there? It's cute. Let's just quickly tack those loose fibres down as well. Don't need to get them perfect because we're going to do so much felting on this, they will all end up be taken down into the main body. That's fine. So there you are, you've got lovely, see, I mean it's still quite soft, see I can squidge it like that, but it is firm enough. Now if we compare that to the shape of my first little Daphne mouse, that's about right, see? Okay, next we can put the main body aside. Let's prepare the ears, shall we? Okay, with more of your white fibre, get a little bit of grass or something there. And with this fibre, this is about 2 inches wide, so I don't need that much. I want it about 1 inch wide. I can put that one. Actually, what I'd say is to do this, prepare this next stage 2 at the same time, and I'll tell you for why. So that if you did one ear and complete it, and then you go to do the second, it's very difficult to get them the same size. Whereas if you actually do each step on each ear, you know, they're more likely to end up how you want them, a similar size. I'll show you first of all on top of the cardboard so you can see what I'm doing, and then I'm going to transfer it to my felting mat. Now, excuse the dog, our little Layla. Now what we'll do is, this is quite compact and solid, it hasn't really been drafted out like I mentioned earlier. Now you can see the tufty bits here. Now what I want to do is pinch, see the shape of my hand, put that finger underneath and your thumb on the top and pinch it quite firmly. And I'm going to grip this part here, and we're going to draft just about that much. So it's about an inch. Okay, and now we're going to do it and lay it down in the same direction. And now we're going to grab another bit like that. Okay, but turn this time. So you've got the original ones going that way, and now these new fibres are going that way. And you're going to lay them on top of your original ones like that. Okay, we're going to do it again, one last time. So not too thick, these pieces are, you can see through it, but it's quite thin, nice and even spread out, and lay them on the top. So what you've got is 3 layers, vertical, horizontal, and then vertical, or the other way around, doesn't make any difference. So we want 2 piles exactly like this, and you're going to pop them onto your felting mat. So I'm going to do one there. This one's quite thin now because I'm at the end of that strip. One that way. You can see that's quite thin. So I'm going to get a little bit more wool. Oops, there, a little bit more. I'm going to add that to my wool. There. That's a bit uneven, but it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to plonk that there. Okay. Now, where's our little template we cut out? See it here? What we're going to do is we're going to place that on top of your fibres. Okay, you can see we've got the outline all the way around there, and you've got the base of it. Now don't do anything to the base, leave these fibres nice and fluffy. Okay, and then what you're going to do is take your medium needle, and you're going to punch down all around into the fibres around the outline of your template of your ear, or whatever it is that you're trying to create from a template. You go around the edges like that, all the way from the right to the left and then back again. Okay, I'm not going to do that on here because it's on the cardboard, so I'm going to remove my cardboard and place it there. I apologise, I can see that's really difficult to see on the camera, but you can see my outline there. So gently holding down the fibres. I'm starting at the bottom here of my ear on the right hand side, and I'm going to very slowly, gently, about 1 millimetre apart each time, working my way round the outside into the fibres, not into the paper. That's just there as a guide, all the way round, almost like the holes a sewing machine would make on a garment. Okay, all the way round. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. While you're doing this, you can see the fibres disappear. Okay, and now we're going to go all the way back again. Hopefully your needle will land in different spots to the first ones, and it will take down a significant amount of fibres. I know it doesn't make sense now, but you'll see what I mean in a moment. All the way round. Hope you can see that. I missed a spot. You can always go back and fill in spots. All the way down to the right hand side of my fibre. Now when you lift that up, you may be able to just see that there. One moment, bring it to the camera. so you can see what I'm talking about. Can you see it's left like an imprint of the ear shape? So what we do is we just go around that again without the template being there. Follow the line that you already had. Keeping those fibres out of the way. You can start to see that now on the screen. Keeping those fibres out of the way. You can feel them pulling through your fingers as they're being dragged down. Okay, and before we go any further, let's do exactly the same thing with our other pile that we had. A little crisscross pile. So I'm going to get my template, plonk it in the middle, and slowly one side to the other. Oops, see, that does happen, that's okay, as long as it's not going through your fingers. Slowly work your way around. The fibres do tend to floof up and get in the way, and that's okay. I'm going to hold that down with my little finger there. I apologise for Layla's very noisily drinking her water. Okay, now I'm working my way back again. Following the outline. Okay, take your template off. I've got a lovely little outline there. Just going to follow that again. Roughly along the same line. Sorry. And along that line there. This will all make perfect sense once you're actually doing it. Okay, so now I've got two pieces of floof with an outline, like an upside down horseshoe shape. Now, don't need that bit of wool there. What we want to do is, if I take my needle, if I take that bit of cardboard, right, I'm going to lift up, there's a little edge of fluff there, I'm going to lift it up and place the cardboard there, just so that you can see. Now here we have the top part of the shape of the ear, and you have this floof all the way around the edges. Okay, so what we want to do is, you don't need your cardboard there, that's just so that I could show you the amount of fluff above your outline. What we want to do is bring that fluff down, and what you'll find is that where we punched into the foam, that should be holding its shape across there. So don't really pull it down, because then you're going to pull it out. But for now, we'll just gently use that where it's punched in as a little resist, and about 1 millimetre or 2 away from the edge, like you would with a sewing machine, for example. We're just going to start needle felting that top edge in. Right, so do a couple, take your finger away. Work your way round to the left or the right. Take your fingers away. I'm going to push that in. You can see there where it's punched in. Okay, I'm going to work my way down. Now I've reached the very bottom, and we want to keep that loose there. So go back up to the top, And from the centre, where we started, start working your way across to the right. Lift your fingers up, pull it back, and then to that right hand edge. Okay, and now I've reached the bottom. Sometimes in your wall you come across little pieces of grass or flowers or bits and pieces. It is a natural product after all, so just take that out. If it was in the middle it doesn't matter, because it's going to be inside, like in your core wall. But on the ears it might end up being visible, and we don't want that. Okay, so repeat that same process on your second ear. We're going to draw down the fluff from the top, starting from the centre, a couple of millimetres away from the edge. Start punching down. Lift your finger up, draw a few more bits in. See that my edge started pulling away there, so I've just gently pushed that back into shape. A few little stabs. All the way to the bottom. Go back to the top. And then draw the fibres in from the right hand side. Down the side. Till you get to the bottom. Okay. We can swap back to the other one now. So they're more or less looking the same kind of size and shape. Now what we want to do is just gently, we want to gather those fibres down, not stretching them or pulling them out. We want to gather them down and hold them at the bottom there. Starting at the top, and what I do is I just work left to right, all the way down till you get to this, where the base of the ear is. Okay, starting at the top. You can speed up for this. Remember to observe the angle that you're putting the needle in, 90 degrees to the surface, not at a diagonal. Working my way down, so the angle it goes in is the angle you pull it out at. All the way down, start to observe where your fingers are, so you don't stab your fingers, and I'm slowly drawing my fingers back till about there. Now if I get my template, am I at the bottom? Let's check. Yes, I'm more or less exactly at the bottom. So what we do is, we let go, you've got all that lovely floofy at the bottom, and that's fine. Let's now go over to our second ear. So remember what I said, gently bringing your fibres, brushing them down like that, until we hold them at the bottom there, not too tightly. Starting at the top, needle punch to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left. You can see where there's little gaps that you might need to go back over. And we're not needle felting this in solidly to our mat, because we want to be able to get it off, but this is how you actually make almost like a piece of fabric. I think I'm there. Am I there? Let's check. A little bit more, one more line I think. Okay. I know that's very difficult to see on the screen because the colour is almost the same. Now what we do is, you can feel a ridge where the top of the ear is. I want you to pinch that, holding it together. Peel it away from your sponge. Now if you felt too much into this at the beginning, when you're trying to peel it off now, you're actually going to pull lots of foam away with you, and we don't want to do that, so we don't need to felt too much. And you can see That's almost, it's like a piece of fabric there. So one, let's gently get the other one off. Gently. This is not a new foam pad that's starting to break apart. When you do keep using it like that over and over and over again, they do eventually break down. So there you've got your two. Now we can measure them up against each other. Let's see, are they similar? Yes, they are. Almost identical. And if they're not, that's not a problem, it doesn't matter. So what we do now is we're going to turn them over, exposing that really fluffy side there. Turn them over, and we're going to needle felt over that again. I'm going to turn my mat slightly, just to choose a better piece of foam. Okay, so starting at the top again. Mind your fingers. I tend to go left to right just so that I've done it quite uniformly, and I know that I've covered all of it. I'm working my way down. Until I think I've gotten to the bottom of it. And then my second piece. You may notice the more times that you needle felt it, it's drawing the fibres in, and it does get smaller and smaller, which is what I said before, so allowing for shrinkage is why we make the template a little bit bigger than we think we're going to need it. Let's have a look. Is that near the bottom? Yes. And yes. Okay. It's much easier to actually peel it off the second time. Okay, so now we've got two ears. You can leave them all cute and fluffy like this. But what I like to do is tidy up the edges, which defines the shape. So now we get that piece of cardboard that I mentioned earlier, and folding it in half. I haven't put that tape there, that's just off of an old box. Folding it in half like that, and we use this as a pair of like pincers to help protect your fingers a little bit. Now what I do is I place it in the top right hand corner, so where the top of the ear is just at the top there, and that's just at the right. Don't do it so it's poking over the top or the edges, because that won't work. It still needs to be within the frame there. Oops. Within that frame. Close it down, and now very, very carefully we get our needle, and see that little gap there where it is. We are very gently and consciously slowly needle felting that top edge there. You can see it shrinking down and changing shape. Please don't go fast at this, because there's every chance you could slip outside and get your fingers, and we don't want that. And don't go so hard that you end up going through the cardboard and also getting your fingers. I'm going to turn that slightly. It's quite therapeutic, this bit, having to concentrate. Now we're going down the side of the ear. Can you see the fibres going in? And what this does is it tidies up and defines the shape, gets rid of the fluffies on the edge, but it also does give us a nice thick defined shape on the edge. I'll show you. You've got a better edge there now. than what it was. Okay, so we want to do the other side, so we're going to flip it over, line it up again. I still like to go over the top of the shape of the ear. Slowly working around the corner. Now I haven't lined that up very well, so I open that up and just push that outwards a little bit more so I can see it. And again. Okay. It's much more defined now, and you've still got your fluffy bit at the bottom. Right, put that one to one side. Grab your second ear. Now you can see this one, I don't know why, it's gone a bit wonky. So I'm going to be paying more attention here to shrink that into shape. Not so much here where there's a dip, and then more here. Line it up. Okay, I've got it tight. Going across the top. Slowly and carefully, making sure the needle goes in the middle of the cardboard. Round the corner. Down the side. This is probably one of the only times when I'm much slower. I really don't want to stab myself because I hate that. Okay. You can see that shape's better there now. Let's turn it over. And that corner there, that corner's really fluffy on this side, I don't know why. I do believe sometimes not to try and make things too perfect, especially with needle felting, because when you stick the ears on, if one goes on lopsided, or the face, like you put the eyes in different positions, or the legs in a funny position, the arms of whatever animal you're making, that's what gives it character. And it's your art, so you're never trying to copy something. It will evolve to be what it's meant to be. That's my belief anyway. Okay, let's have a look. That's much better. Now it still is a little bit higher there, but I'm not going to start worrying about that. The nature of the wool is because it's not rock hard solid yet, it's still got a little bit of stretch to it. And if it is a bit wonky, you can stretch it to how you want it, but it's got a nice edge on it now. I'll place that there. Right, we want to finish the ears, so next we're going to apply some pink for the centre of the ears. Now, each time I make one of these, it turns out a bit different. There's our little Daphne, with a lovely fluff pinky centre. And on this one that I've made, there's just, whoops, much softer look there. And just a little bit of pink. A little bit of pink. So it's up to you, you decide how much you want to add in there. And I'll show you how we do it. So with the lovely pink corridor, this one's lovely and silky. Literally, I mean, I've got this in layers here, look. I'm going to split that. You don't need too much of this. Remember how we said about grabbing the fibres? And literally, I'm going to pinch a bit of floof and I'm going to pull it. So I haven't got much there at all. I want 2 of those. Okay. That's all I'm using. Now you can see the fibres there. What we want to do, I might use my skewer for this actually. Get your skewer, there's the top, there's the bottom. I'm going to place that more or less in the middle. I'll hold that with my thumb there and just take those fibres up. So you're folding it in half essentially. Okay, pinch it, slide it off. You just grab that little, okay, the thick bit, the folded bit is in between my fingers. I'm going to get the ear. I'm going to plonk the ear down there, and right, this floofy bit, we don't want to put it into there. We're going to take the folded section of pink and put it close to the base there, and then with our medium needle, make sure all those lovely fluffy fibres are going upwards. My finger is still on the folded part there, so we're going to work quite closely to our finger now. Please don't stab yourself. Slowly we're going to push some of those fibres down, taking care not to touch your finger, left or right. Okay. Now once you've taken your finger off, let's just zoom in a little bit. Oh, can't zoom in any more than that, I'm afraid. This little bit here that was folded is now loose because we were holding that down, weren't we? So if you just take your needle and push that in, you don't have to go mad doing this, just make sure it's attached. And now we've got all this lovely floofy pink fibre, which we can gently, just a few places, stab it down like that. So it's not overly felted, but it is attached. Okay, we do the same thing. We're going to place our ear. We're going to get our lovely fibres, like so. We're going to get our skewer. There's the top of my fibres, there's the bottom of my fibres, more or less in the middle. Take your fibres up so it's folded in half. Put my thumb on that there. And just slide the skewer out. So I'm going to grab that, place it like we did. Don't worry if it's not in exactly the same place, doesn't matter. I'm going to place that finger over the folded part of that pink. And the same as we did a moment ago. Slowly needle felt that in. Lift your finger up. Needle felt that folded edge in. And then gently working your way up, just a few stabs, not overly felted. Okay, just going back to that one a bit more. And there you've got your lovely pink centres. Carefully lift them up. Got your 2 ears there. If you turn it over, you'll see that a little bit of the pink has come out there. If you can leave that there, but if you don't trim that off now, what will happen is some of the pink will start coming through as you attach the ears to the body. I quite like that, there's nothing wrong with that. So you can leave it as is, or you can trim them off. So you can see they do actually protrude through a little bit. See that little bit there? That's the pink fluff. So I'm going to cut that off. Like that. Like that. Okay. We will see you've got lots of fluff there. You can leave it if you want to. You can like twist the fibres. If you hold that firm there, you can twist the fibres if you want to. Make it your own. Do it completely how you feel it wants to be. I'm going to cut these off. To the end of my ears. There. Lovely pair of ears ready to go. I'm going to get rid of that fluff there. Next we can make, so we've got the body, we've got the ears. Let's make the arms. You can put the cardboard to one side, don't need that for a moment. Now we need a skewer and we need our white wool. Now we want to prepare the wool so that we've got two pieces of a similar size, about 1 inch wide, not too thinly stretched. One there. So remember to pull off a vertical line there. Are they the same? This one's a bit fatter of mine. That one's a bit skinnier and longer. So let's see, put my hands near the edge there and just draft that out a little bit. So there you can see this one is longer. I'm just going to pull a little bit off the edge. There, now they're more or less the same size. Okay. Now what we're going to do is the same as what we did right at the beginning. We're going to take the edge of our skewer, going to place it near those bits of fluff there. Excuse me. There. I'm going to place near the top of the fluff and start turning that, and if it doesn't catch on its own, which that is there, that's just starting to catch there. Okay, see? Now roll it quite tightly, almost that it looks a bit like an earbud. Roll it down, roll it down. Now I'm pressing it down as well, not so hard that you end up breaking the stick, but just pressing it down and rolling it at the same time. You can even put your thumb there and let it twist in between your thumb. What that does is it kind of attaches the fibres, makes them stick together, so it's not going to become undone. Now, in your least dominant hand, get your medium needle, will be fine for this. We're going to do the same thing that we did earlier on, stabbing in at the top and the bottom, so above and below where the stick is. Starting from the tip end. You're not necessarily going right the way through into your foam, but you're going through the wool. I'm going to go back on the bottom side all the way to the tip. I'm going to turn it, maybe quarter turn, all the way along, bottom edge, all the way back. And I'll do this slowly, methodically. You can feel it getting solid quite quickly actually, because it's only a small amount of wool, isn't it? It's not like when we did the fat sausage at the beginning. One more turn. Now I can feel resistance there, so I don't want to make it too firm. If we lift that up, you can see there's not a lot of felting has gone on here. Very gently, because the tip of your skewer is about there. Very gently. Oh, I just felt it then. Kind of around where you think it is. Now we can turn the skewer. You can see it shrinking as well. Going in at a very slight diagonal now. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to slide it off. There's one on. And we get another piece of wool. End of your skewer. Tuck that over, start rolling, and then it catches. And quite tightly. You want to roll that in right till we get to the end. And do that rolling thing again. I'm pressing it with my thumb as well. There. Now, put it in your non-dominant hand again. Start needle felting all the way along the top, back down the bottom. And we're not going like hundreds of pokes there, just as you go along, about every 5 millimeters or so. Turn it. So we don't want to make it too solid, because it will end up like a flat, I don't know, flat something, a flat piece of wool. And it would be nice for it to actually hold some shape and definition. Okay, a bit more there. You can feel that start to get more solid now. And then lift it up. Now this one's lower down on my skewer, so the skewer tip is right there. So I'm going to be very careful to push that in. Actually, what I'm going to do, if this happens to you, just very slowly lift that out a bit, so I've slid it up. That's better. Gently going to poke those. Turn in my skewer just to get most of the it slid back down again, so I'm going to lift it up again and put my fingers there to stop it sliding back down. Turning. Slide it off. Now let's see. Whoops. Are they similar? They are more or less, aren't they? I think this one looks a bit fatter there, but that's not a problem. They're pretty close. Okay, so we have the body, the ears, the hands. We need to make a little nose. So for this, you really don't need much at all. when we do this, we're going to pull it quite taut, so it's actually going to be about 1 centimetre in width. So I don't really want a great big long nose. I'm going to use the pointed end this time, just so it's less bulky when we're needle felting the end of it down. So I've got the end of the fluffy fibres there on my finger. I'm going to push that down, just tuck the top of the fibres, start rolling down. Now I'm holding it here with my little finger there, so I'm applying pressure on it. You can see from the tip to there, that measures about 1 centimetre. So it will spread out longer. So I'm going to very slowly wind that in. I'm going to allow that to be a bit looser now. Just draft that out a little bit. Okay, not so tight now. And there, I'll just lightly twist that in with my fingers so those fibres kind of just hold together. Swap it over. The first thing I'm going to do this time is the nose, the very tip of that nose. I can feel the tip of the skewer there as well. So be very gentle when you're doing this. Just trying to go down the side of the skewer. Take your time. You can always pause this video and start it again if you need more time. I do tend to work quite quickly, so okay, now we've done that, I'm just going to stab in the sides a little bit, not as much as you did with the hands, just to keep it together. And then while it's still on the skewer, I'm going to take a tiny amount of pink. I mean, really tiny. See, a few fibres there. I'm going to grab that. I'm going to pull it. See how you can barely see it. Now, what I'm going to do is lay them in my hand and start doing like a little rolling motion. The fibres, they do, it takes time. You can see that. But they do start coming together. See, like that. Now tie it, roll it really tightly in your fingers like that, squeezing it. And what you get, a little pink ball. Now, what we want to do is pick up said pink ball. I'd stick the needle in the middle. Now, you've got the tip of your piece here. And we're going to plonk that. It's right at the end in the centre. Very slowly, gently, because you've got the middle of the skewer there as well. Did you see that? As I went to pull it away, the nose was coming away as well. So I'm just going to put my finger there a little bit, just to hold it in place. Be very careful. Move your needle. Very gently. Oops. Turn your skewer around. Keep turning it. Keep gently poking that little pink nose on the end. work more on that once we've taken it off. So you can see there's a little pink nose on the end there. You see that? Okay, we're going to pull this off, and there we have the nose. Right, next we're going to make the tail. Now I've got this piece of pink wool here. This end was quite thin, so I've just twisted that in my fingers. This is thicker here, and we want to keep a loose fluffy bit for attaching. Now what I'm going to do, if you twist the very end of the tail in your fingers like that, it starts to come together. So using your mat, I'm going to put that down, and almost like you're rolling a bit of plasticine. Don't touch this bit here. It's okay if you touch that bit there. Work your way along the length of your towel. You can see that starts coming together nicely, and then once it is kind of together in a little wormy kind of shape, you can apply a bit more pressure. And what this does is it does start to felt it together, almost like in a dreadlock. Now what we can do is, again with our medium needle, very difficult at the end because it's very thin. You can deal with that right at the end. Now start stabbing. It will go flat a little bit, don't worry about that, so don't felt too much, but just slowly working your way up the fibre until you've got about an inch of fluff at that end. Leave that loose. So all in all, this was about 4 inches long, maybe 5 inches, as long as my hand really. Gently lift that off, roll it some more. You can even rub it between your hands. Actually, I think that is easier once you've got to this point. And that should take care of the end as well. Let's have a go right at the tip. Yeah, that's lovely there, see? Some people make dreadlocks this way, woolen dreadlocks. Rub that. That's looking quite a nice organic shape. I quite like that. A little bit more. I'm going to just place that down so that looks a bit flat there. That's the edge I was felting on before, so I'm just going to turn it so that's on its side, and just give, not many, or as many or as little as you like, but the more you do, the skinnier it's going to get. So if you want it skinny, you can keep needle felting that along. But in all honesty, you don't need to do that much. I'm going to just roll that off on my mat there. And rub it in my hands again. There. I really like that. Cute. So, I don't need that anymore. Actually, actually I will keep that just to show you one more thing. So we've got the little nose, we've got the ears, we've got the hands, we've got the tail, we've got the body. All we need to do now is the feet, which is kind of like in a little heart shape. It's so cute. So what we're going to do is the same way that we did the ears earlier, crisscrossing those fibres, we're going to make the feet. Now, I've got quite a solid piece of pink here. Can't really see through it, it just shows you the thickness. I'm going to grab, it's quite long fibres this one, so it won't pull apart. I'm going to hold that tight there. There. I'm going to do one that way, just spread it out a bit. I'm going to do another one, crossing it over. I'm going to get 4 pieces, I think. So another one. Let's go diagonally, so we've got fibres in every direction. I'm going that way. That's lovely. I'm going to get what was our ear shape. I'm going to plonk that in the middle, like so. We're going to get our medium needle, and we're going to do the same as we did for the ears. Don't be so strict to get it right along that line though, it doesn't matter if it goes a bit wider. And let's start. I'm starting from the top. I'm going to follow that line to the bottom, follow it all the way back up to the top. Just flatten those down a bit. Follow that line down to the left. Smooth those out. To the bottom. Back up to the top. I'm going to take that off. You can see there's a horseshoe shape. So the 2 bottom lines, here and here, I'm going to extend those down into a little point. And then this side, I'm going to extend that down as well. Okay, now going to the top, I'm going to take those bits of fluff, you can barely see that, take those bits of fluff down, don't like that dark hair, and now about 2 to 3 millimeters away from that top edge, I'm going to fold that in. Then to the right side, fold that in, right down to the side. You can see here it starts going into a point, so I'm not going to go all the way down to the bottom. Now I'm going to go back to the top again, to that side. It's quite a lot of fibres there now. It gets quite thick, much thicker than when we did the ears. Okay, now what I'm going to do is push gently those fibres, spread them out, but I'm going to push. We want a heart shape, so this bit we want to be pointed, or semi-pointed. So stab those bits down there. Working your way up now. How far are we? We're almost near the top, so a little bit more. peeling from the bottom this time. I've turned that over and you can see the original side where I did the from the ear shape. What we're going to do, and you can see the long fluffy fibres because we folded it upwards, didn't we? So we're going to take that over the top, okay, and then we're going to just loosely tack those down. A little bit more in that corner edge, and this is a bit fluffy here on mine, so I'm going to do that corner edge there too. Alright, now we're going to get our cardboard, we're going to lift that up, and like we did with the ear, we're going to put that right up to the top edge and as close as we can on this edge, and close that up. Okay, you want that in line with the top there. Now, you don't have to do it in a heart shape. I think it makes it look quite cute. It looks like two little feet sticking out. So we're going to concentrate at first, going down 90-degree angle with our needle. Actually, let's change to our large needle for this part. It will draw the fibres down a lot more solidly. Estimate where you think the middle is, and don't actually take the needle right out, just keep pushing it in. Okay, about 5 times or so. Then you can take it right out and you can see that the fibres are starting to dip down in that middle part there. They'll go along maybe 1/2 centimetre along that little middle section there. Okay, now swap to your medium needle. Start shaping that outside edge slowly and carefully. Turn your piece. Be careful that you don't slip and go outside. Put that there, open it, turn it round. With your medium needle again. Start shaping that outside and draw those fluffy fibres. Need to move that a little bit. Start drawing those fluffy fibres into a shape. What I'm going to do now is place it on your mat and just hold it down with the cardboard. Gently. And on those edges, like the diagonal of the heart shape, where it goes down into a point, just gently push that there. And this is like the sloping part diagonal as well, so be gentle. It doesn't always do what you want it to do. It's very fluffy there, so I'm just going to needle felt that in a little bit more. Don't want to make it so solid that we've got nothing left to work with when we try and attach it. So I want to emphasise that little indentation a bit more. I'm going to leave that front section alone. Just going to concentrate more on my outside edges again. Again on that side. Needle felting takes time, but I do find it really, really enjoyable, especially at the end. Every piece has what I call an ugly stage. Even as an artist, when you're painting pictures, you come to a point where you think, oh my goodness, no, what have I done? And you want to chuck it away, but don't ever do that, because it's just around that next corner of a tiny bit of manipulation, and it's just fabulous. It's lovely. So I'm happy with that. It's not an exact heart shape, but it's similar. I like the firmness of that and how it feels, so I'm happy with that. Okay, now to put it all together. Okay, here we are. We're about to put all of our pieces together to make our lovely Daphne. So first of all, we have our heart shape. I'm going to turn that round upside down so the two bumps are facing towards me. I'm going to, actually let's backtrack. Let's get the tail, because we want to place the tail in between the heart and the body. If you've got too much fluff, as I have, I'm just going to fold the end of that back. And using, I think, a large needle. We'll see how we go, but we might go with the large needle. Have a look at your little fat sausage. You've got your fat end, your flatter end at the bottom. Now look at it and see which way, what part of it would you like for the front. Because sometimes one side looks better than the other. I think I'm quite liking that to be my front. So what I want to do is, that's my front, I want to place my tail facing backwards. So I put the sausage down at an angle on your your mat. Have that, the base of your tail, just covering the base of your Daphne body. Take a large needle, just start poking through the middle. Now you can see those fibres getting drawn in, can't you? Now I don't want any of this to extend past the outside of my heart, so what I'm going to do, I have big fluffy bits there, so you can just sort of pick them up with your needle and just very gently pull them back. Okay, I've still got these long fluffy bits there again. I'll fold that over. Circle, sometimes that gathers all the pieces. Okay. There, now I don't need to worry much more than that. You can see there's your tail attached. Now, if you put it back down again, with the towel coming down towards you, so that's going to be the back. Decide with your heart what is going to be the outside and what is going to be attached. So find the best side, basically. I think that's my best side. That's the side I want to be on the outside. With your point of your heart towards you and your two little feet at the front, decide, so place it on the bottom of your body and decide how much of you want them to protrude out the front. I'm happy about there. So keeping my thumb on it and making sure it's centered, so it's not sticking out more one side than the other, it's spot on the middle actually. So I'm going to very gently push this through, bearing in mind your fingers are here, so we don't want to do it at an angle, we want to go straight down. I can feel quite a lot of resistance there, so I'm actually going to swap to my middle needle, and that goes in much easier. I start building up around that circle, like a spiral almost. So it is quite attached in the middle there. Now that's secure, but it's not secure enough. So I'm going to slowly keep working my way round, but I'm at a slight diagonal angle now. Can you see that? So as you go around, and you can turn Daphne now, keep poking that in, turn her again, keep working that in, turn her again. I'm getting more confident now, but just bear in mind your fingers. Right, so that is really well attached. What I want to do though is look from the other side. Now that's a bit gappy there, so bearing in mind where your body is, I'm going to push down in the middle of my heart there. Okay. So you've got a little bit of definition there, and I want to have that attached more. Can you see that gap? So don't go right near the tip, and again at a diagonal kind of angle, feel your way around. Going up a bit at the back there, but I don't mind that. I quite like it. Work your way around to the front. Now that bit's sticking out there a bit, so I'm just going to push that in. And it looks thicker there, so now I've got to do the same on the other side. You don't have to do this on yours if it wasn't protruding. All depends on the shape. There. Now, she kind of stands up. Now I don't know if you've got this on yours, but I have on mine. Can you see this is a bit loose here? The base of the towel. So what I'm going to do is I want to needle felt the tail there, into the base of that heart. Oops, I missed. Just so that it's more coherent and it's more part of that as well. like so, and also a little bit sideways. Okay, so just finish tidying up any loose ends. If you want to do that edge bit there, place the mouse on the edge of your phone there. So you can just needle felt that tighter together there. Mine's got a little funny shape there. Just want to bring it in together. And there. You see that funny little sticky up bit there? Here. That's just me being fussy. But you can keep needle felting until it's right for you. Okay, so that's the feet and the tail. Isn't she cute? Let's compare. See? Now, let's get the hands on, the arms. If you notice, they're in the middle, kind of, attached from the side, just coming inwards. They don't have to be exactly the same as that. We've got our two arms there. And about halfway, be nice if they met there, I think. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold that in place with my medium needle near the paws. Just near the tip, I'm going to squish that in there. I've needle felted that there. Okay? Now get your second one. You can turn it upside down if you want to. In fact, I think I might do that. There's the middle of my heart. Lining it up. Holding down the hand. See, that one felt more solid. I must have felted that one tighter. And just attach them both. Now, what we can do is if we hold them in place, they should stay in place now. Start working your way up the arms, roll that round. Turn that over. And put the towel down. And then just start needle felt all the way around the back. And they kind of join together and disappear. So do it nice and flat around the back. So there you have your arms, your hands. Okay. Next, we have the nose. So I think I made my nose a little bit too long, so what I'm going to do, I just want a little short one. So if you see, that's about 1 centimetre long there, and I'm going to cut that off. Oops. There. I'm going to place that just above the arms. Now at a diagonal, if I show you on this side, but I'm right-handed, but I don't want you to not be able to see the camera. I'm going to do it at a diagonal from about the middle of the nose inwards. Okay? So I'm going to do that on the other side. There, you can see the nose. It's just above the hands, from the middle of the nose. And I'm going to turn that once it's secure. Turn it round slowly. And I don't want it as long as that, and the more you felt inwards, the shorter it's going to be. So I'm poking through the pink part of the nose, right down, which not only shortens it, but it's attaching it. To the head, to the body. Okay. Little Daphne's coming together. Now we have our ears, and it's up to you where you're going to place them. So what we do is, where the pink part is what's going to attach near the head, and the fluff is all going to be needle felted in at the back. But what I like to do is just pinch that together, lay it down, and it's sideways now, so just stab it together a couple of times, turn it over, do the same thing on the other side, and what that does is it pinches it together like that. So do that on both ears. Turn it over. So now, when we hold the ear in place with the fluff at the back, I like to put it about there, because you want room for the eyes as well, don't you? From the front of the ear, get into that white bit there and push it down. Be careful of your fingers. Push that down. I'm going to stab myself then. Right, I'm going to go to the back of the head, keeping in mind where it is. I'm just going to attach those loose fibres there. In and around the back of the head. I'm going to leave that loose just for now. There, I'm going to leave that loose just for now, but I've felted all around the back of the ear. And there you can see the top of the head. That gets needle felted in as well there. And from the front, again, that little side bit there. Around the back, and you keep doing that till it's nice and secure and where you want it. And then we put the second ear in, so about there. Going to, oops, a bit fiddly this bit, and attach it in a little bit there. I'm going to turn around the back, start stabbing in all those loose fibres. You can leave a lot of loose fluff there at the moment, just to make sure it's in the right place. Stab from the front at the base of the ear. Like that. Not perfect, but will do. And now if we come to the back and you've got all of those loose fluffy fibres, just lay them down in the best direction you think. So mine have gone over the back of the arms, which is good because that covers that up a bit as well. As long as it's secure, that's all that you need. There. Felted. And that's it. She's more or less done. There's one last thing to do for our little Daphne is the eyes. So if we get our brown wool, tiny, just a few little fibres is all we need. Remember what we did before for the nose? Roll it in your hand. As tight as you can. There's one. Another go. And roll that in my hand. God, that one seems to be a bit smaller than the first one. This is the problem, see? Okay, no, they're fine. Now, if we get Daphne here, find your largest needle and just above the nose there, right and left, that's where your eyes are going to be. Now what we're going to do, mind your fingers at the back, so try and hold from the bottom. What we're going to do is, with our coarse needle, try and do it actually, if you lay her down, without actually removing the needle, stab in and out a few times and you'll see it makes an indent. Do the same on both sides. And that's just prepping the place where the eyes are going to go. You could at this stage, if you wanted to, or if you had some glass beads or eye beads that you, with a post, you could glue those in now. But I like to use wool. So change over to your small size needle now. Pick up one of your brown blobs and poke it. Whoops, it does come away if you just gently, excuse Layla barking, gently stab that in place and take your second one. And put that one in place. Might need a bit more manipulation to get them the same size and exactly the same place. Did you see that needle bend then as I tried to push it across? Because the fine needles are really so fine, have to be careful. I shouldn't have done that because it could have broken. And there she is. Our little Daphne. Now she does look slightly different to the first one I ever made. But they're all cute and lovely. Hope you managed to follow me so far. You can always keep tweaking it afterwards. You can carry on felting in the little loose fibres that you find, or you can go around and, like with a very fine pair of scissors, snip loose fibres if you want to, but it doesn't need it. She's cute and she's lovely. You could, if you wanted to, wrap the tail round and then just in a couple of places needle felt that in place, or up through her arms. Or you could have the other option as well, like if you wanted to make it like this one, was before you put the arms in place you actually needle felted the tail where you want it. So there's lots of different things you can do to decorate her and have her looking slightly different, with the ears pinched up more near the top, or a bigger nose or a smaller nose. It's all up to you. Hope you have fun. I've really enjoyed making this for you. Take care. Just in case you didn't know, you can buy everything that you need to create Daphne from our website. The address is below. Unfortunately, we can only post to the UK. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel.